record this afternoon, we are on the right track. And we, as the leadership of the sports movement, want to congratulate you and to appeal to you that we stand as one as we take our rightful positions on the continent and in the world. There is no greater joy to a nation when they see their structures succeed. And I hope that this Congress today will once and for all underline what it is that we need to do as a soccer federation in this country and take us forward. There are youngsters in the dusty fields of Vembe, on the other side of Pedi and Ushwa, who are looking forward to this Congress as to what it is going to decide. And in their hearts of hearts, they will be asking, what is in for me as a player on the other side of Ingushu? So you have a mammoth task as you deliberate here today at this Congress to always think about the player at the lowest level. Once we can do that, we know that we are on track. So we congratulate the teams that have qualified. We congratulate and send our messages of support to the boys in Congo. And we say to them, hope they can hear this message, even if we must carry you out on a stretcher, do your best for this country. We love you and we support you. Thank you very much.
We now call on a man who was the Premier of Gauteng in 1996 when we hosted the African Cup of Nations. Premier, that's your cup. We won that cup. He's now serving on the FIFA committee and he has launched Global Watch, and I'm sure we all want to know what is the direction and impact that Global Watch will have in the world of sport and society in dealing with the challenges of racism and discrimination. We give to Premier Tokyo Sexwale.
Mr. President, Denny John, earlier when I came, I thought I was going to receive an award. And I sat there quietly disappointed. But then George Bezos also did not get one. Then Mbalula got nothing. And he dashed to get into a photograph. That's all he got. Minister, delegates, I think SAFA should applaud itself. Today you pulled off something that nobody, you'll do that after I told you what for. You pulled off something that has never been done. To put all our presidents in one hut and here in one space, and to honor each one of them. Posthumously for Madiba, the clerk included in, earlier I said, you jailed us. And then he said, but I also freed you. They say, and I was talking to an African leader, I will not say which country it was. In many countries across the world, you will never find such a lineup. One president said, hey Tokyo, hey, your country is very interesting. All your presidents are alive, Madiba, Thabo, de Klerk, Halima, and now JZ. hey, you people are showing us things. In my part of the world, former presidents are in jail, in exile, or dead. And by dead, I mean they are shot. So South Africa shows that we have taken the lead of continuity. But who are we? We are that nation which people have thought is a no-hopper, broken apart in pieces racially. But it is people like George Bezos, and he's here to make sure that whatever you are doing, SAFA, don't dribble one another, make it legal. But it is people like him that gave us hope that one day black and white in this country will find one another. And we showed the world that we can create a democratic and non-racial and representative system in South Africa. The world supported us in the eradication of apartheid and other forms of discrimination. And the biggest or the highest point of support came from the United Nations, which passed 2 resolutions about apartheid racism. Resolution 1 was that racism, apartheid, is a crime against humanity. And the second resolution was that racism, apartheid, is a threat to world peace. That's how high this question of race went worldwide. The UN is a successor because it came after World War II, a war that was started by racism, this time led by Adolf Hitler. Global Watch. Global Watch means we have now to begin to watch again, since the scourge of racism is getting back into the lives of people. It has always been there. When we were coming to South Africa, as freedom fighters, Oliver Tambo said, don't raise it in other countries because we require their support. But it did not mean that the different countries of the world did not have their own forms of racism, their own problems. We lay low, and we're thanking the world today for having assisted us in eradicating this scourge. But then the world is now beset with problems, as Madiba says. And racism is not only there in the world, but it is creeping very rapidly onto the playing fields. Talking about football, under the leadership of FIFA, FIFA took a stand. And some of you were present at the 2013 Congress of FIFA, Mauritius, when an international FIFA task team was set up to make sure that we fight the scourge of racism from the playing field. Being a member of that task team, I thought, why only fight it on the playing field of football when it is manifesting itself in Formula One, when it manifests itself in boxing? It is there. NBA, Clippers. Here's a man who said things about black people. So we took a decision. Who's we? Mandela Foundation, the Doha Foundation, those are the next holders of the Q22 World Cup in Qatar, as well as the Squad Foundation. In partnership, all those three said, let us combine our forces so that we can fight discrimination worldwide. So we took it beyond what FIFA was saying in football and said, let it happen in all sports. In summary, Global Watch is due to hold a summit here in South Africa in the next 40 days as I speak from today. That summit will be here in Johannesburg at Emperor's Palace. It will be inaugurated by none other than His Excellency the President of the Republic, Msholozi. It has attracted 5 Nobel Prize winners who say, we want to be part of that Global Watch. Mr. Al Gore, Kofi Annan, de Klerk, Tutu, and so on, including Nadim Gordon before she passed away. It is pulling in people such as Pele, Beckham, and many other grades that you know. But most importantly, if you see Global Watch, www.racism.org, you see the first group of supporters, Neymar, Messi, and remember it was Neymar who, after the bananas were thrown at his fellow team, Dani Alves, said, if he is a monkey, then we are all monkeys. Most of us here are black. We know what players like Drogba are going through in Europe. Nobody is there to defend them. They say we simply play on because we are afraid of losing sponsorships and so on. So Global Watch is a call to action. It is calling upon right-thinking people across the world to say, let's keep this scourge of racism off the playing fields, not only of football, but around the chessboard, around the boxing ring, around the table tennis, around the tennis field, in Formula One, and throughout, as you see it in the International Olympics. IOC is a member partner of Global Watch. FIFA is a partner. The United Nations, Mandela Foundation, Kofi Foundation, but Sam, Mr. Gideon Sam, thanks for the cooperation you are getting from your office as well. SASCOC, and I know what you are saying if you didn't hear properly. The boss was talking, and the boss is not Danny. He said, I'm here to give you a message from your boss, the controller. You know, FIFA sometimes forget that he's a member of the IOC. And SAFA sometimes, because you are big, and football is big, you forget that you report to Sam. And he's the one who pays the salary at the end of the day, in mercy to Danny Jordan. So we're having a global summit taking place in South Africa. And as I conclude, I'll mention two things. The objective of the global summit, one, is to have a global charter. So Global Watch is not a South African organization. It is an international organization. We are going to have a global charter that sets a roadmap, basic, simple steps of how sporting people should behave on sporting fields. That's one. And that global charter will be adopted by the United Nations through the office of Ban Ki-moon, which will be represented here, either by himself or Mr. Lemke. Number two, the global charter will be monitored, because what's a charter? Even the Freedom Charter could not get as far. It needs muscle. It will be monitored by a global barometer for the first time. And the barometer is an instrument that will put different associations, confederations, and nations into categories of green, yellow, and red. If your nation is in green, it's fine. But if your nation is in red, you are going to find yourself in the same position as South Africa found itself in relation to FIFA in 1964, suspended or expelled, as happened in 1976. So Global Watch invites SAFA to be a partner, and I'm happy to indicate that yesterday we held a meeting of the Preparatory Committee, and your president, Denny, was elected as a member of Global Watch. He is now on the board. Again, SAFA, for you, Global Watch and the fight against racism is not just an issue like it is regarded as in many parts of the world. SAFA is in the country of Nelson Mandela. SAFA is a brainchild of a struggle against non-racialism. If they throw bananas at Dani Alves, if Neymar says we should stand together, if Messi, who's likely to be at the conference, and Ronaldo, whose guest I am next week at the Atletico, if these people are able to stand up, SAFA cannot keep quiet, not in the country of Mandela, when racism is taking its terrible course on the playing fields of the world. We're here to say it and to invite you, SAFA, do take a stand. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tokyo Sekwale. We now invite the Honourable Minister of Sport and Recreation, Minister Mbalula, to address us. Mr. Mbalula, the floor is yours.
I was saying to the president, I've lost my speech. As you are aware, we have gone completely paperless. We no longer refer to paper. We refer to iPads. But thank you, President of SAFA, Comrade Dr. Denny Jordan, and the entire leadership of SAFA, National Executive present here today, and members of SAFA from different regions across the country. The leadership of SASCOC, President Gideon Sam, present here, and all members of SASCOC present in this annual general meeting. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and privilege all the time, Dr. Jordan, to be meeting here today on the backdrop of somewhat positive results coming from our footballing exploits over the recent months. The under-17, the under-20, and Banyana having qualified for major African tournaments. And Bafana showing some promising signs, etc. These are indeed deplorable achievements. But we must remember that our journey has just begun. I've brought with me, President, 2 presents to SAFA, which are monetary, as part and parcel of Minister's Excellence Program. I've brought 2 checks for under-17, and the other one is for under-20. I don't know where are my checks now, but I hope by the time I finish the speech, I'll be able to hand over the checks to you. This is the present to our youth in SAFA who have done us proud. We're gonna reward Banyana after the Africa Women Championship when they come back from Namibia. President, our journey has just begun when it comes to football. We have given Sheikh Mashaba and his technical team support. We have given them support, and we need to understand, the nation as a whole, that this will not multiply immediately to immediate achievements and probably lead to victory. But what we have started have all the signs of a glorious team. And I think that shows the decision that SAFA has taken is a well-informed decision. It's a visionary decision when it comes to dealing with Bafana. And the rest of South African nation need to understand and support our national team, Bafana. Secondly, President, I want to congratulate SAFA for the awards you have given to our veterans this morning. To me, is to rekindle connection and love for this country, but to affirm that among us and in our midst, we've got giants. We are blessed to have them still alive among us. And SAFA reminded us today. And when I was sitting in this podium, a song came through my mind that said, throwing a good love away, you might not know it now, but you'll know it someday. And what it means, ladies and gentlemen, is that you have recognized what we have just next door. We might not know it now, we'll know it then one day. And we are not doing that when people are no more and they've passed away. You are doing it whilst they are still alive. Today, we had former President de Klerk and Vice President of this country in a new democratic dispensation. One podium with President Mbeki, with former President Mutlante, and the President Zuma in his absentia was equally awarded and actually recognized. You have done exceptionally well. You are contributing to social cohesion and nation building. We need to continue to remind ourselves about what we have in our midst and continue to celebrate the strides and the achievement that South Africa has achieved this far. Over and above that, we had our elders in our midst. Advocate Bezos. I think any state that does not have elders, I don't know, is stateless. In South Africa, we've got elders like Advocate George Bezos. We've got elders like Andrew Mlangeni. We've got elders like Ahmed Kathrada, whom you invited to bless this occasion. And I think it is good for SAFA to have taken this particular initiative for the health of our nation. We need to continue to rekindle this love for South Africa. And football plays a critical role in that particular rekindling of love for South Africa and our identity. Our rainbowism does not mean that we undermine the challenges that we are faced with. It is not just plastering up cracks. It's about saying we are a nation that is in a state formation, that is in a nation formation, and many nations have actually realized their freedom but have not achieved common nationhood. And even today, what we are doing is to rekindle that kind of belief to common nationhood and building a nation. We are faced with a number of challenges. Underdevelopment, we are faced with a number of challenges of unemployment, of poverty. But you know what the role soccer and football plays in terms of uplifting our people. What you do today is to uplift the spirit of the South African people. You are imbuing this nation with the RDP of the soul to say to them, for where you are and you might be hopeless, still believe in this country. For where we come from, our past is not so glorious, but our future, it is. And through this particular leadership, we have walked in the footsteps of realizing glory in a democratic South Africa. And I just want to congratulate SAFA for what you have actually done in terms of honoring these great leaders of our people. And I want to walk the talk with SAFA in terms of addressing some of the challenges we are facing in terms of football in South Africa. Over and above the reward that I'm giving to the teams that have achieved in terms of the under-17 and the under-20, I want us to walk the talk when it comes to development at the school level. And I've discussed this with SAFA executive, Dr. Jordan and everybody else in terms of going back to the basics. And I've got full support with regard to that. We have started to work very hard on the question of going back to the basics and to the schools, to revive school football. In many ways, we have signed, agreements with corporate South Africa, those who come on board. You've got SASFA. I don't want football to be played in 3,000 schools when we've got 27,000 schools. I want football to be played in all 27,000 schools every Wednesday without fail. And that is what we want in South Africa. And I'm saying to you, I'm inviting you to that journey. And I've got cooperation from Dr. Jordan when it comes to building academies in South Africa. Our own report in terms of research have revealed that academy system in South Africa is not enhancing the performance of our players going forward. When you look at the talent in terms of the under-17 and the under-20, the boys are doing it for South Africa. But where do they come from? Their careers are cut short because in the research, it has revealed that we suffer problems and inadequacies of following good programs of nutrition. Good programs, most of the kids who have qualified even to play in the PSL, in their youth days have not seen a doctor. That is why they suffer from Achilles tendon and all sorts of disease, and their careers are cut in short simply because we have not paid attention to the foundation of their development. And I've said to the president, which we agree, let us expand academies throughout the country in South Africa. Let us ensure that there is a developmental revolution in sport, in particular in football in South Africa. We've got abundance of talent. The question is, what do we do with that talent? The other question that confronts us is the question of transformation. When we talk about transformation, other people in the public discourse, when we engage with this particular matter, they talk about race mix. And the transformation is about equity and access. And I say to them, SAFA has achieved full transformation. They say, what do you mean by that? Because in their own mind, they think that transformation means that is equal representation of black and white. No, it is about redress in terms of the historically disadvantaged. And that is what transformation is about. When I say SAFA has achieved that, I mean it, because indeed, in terms of administration and all of that, it has achieved full transformation. The challenge that we are faced with is that our fellow white compatriots are not playing football in the schools. They are actually playing rugby and cricket. And we know that in those schools that we're talking about are not more than 40 schools that produce the Springboks and cricketers. And young people in those schools don't play football. And that is why we say that let us expand. Football must be played by everybody. There's never been a question of what must happen and what must not happen when it comes to white South Africans playing football. It has always been the question of what are we able to produce in terms of development. The reason why we are faced with stagnation is precisely because football in most of these schools is not allowed. And football is played mainly in the historically disadvantaged schools in South Africa. And that is not the scenario that we want in South Africa. We want all South Africans to have equal opportunities and access. And we need to cooperate around that. And I want to say that in terms of the legacy of the 2010, we have spent more than 177 million through the Lotto on the legacy work in terms of rolling out facilities and the artificial pitches throughout the country. In particular, emphasis being in the rural areas. And that team has done an excellent job in terms of the rollout of those particular facilities. As part of that, we are faced with a scenario of having stadiums, not F&B or the Calabash, but stadiums that have been developed in the areas where we live. High tariffs, inaccessibility of those stadiums to be utilized by communities in the surrounding areas because of high tariffs. We are negotiating and engaging with our counterparts within COGTA to make these stadiums accessible and let young people play and have access to those stadiums. For them to actually play in those stadiums, they will need some kind of agreement, particularly benefit from PSL clubs to utilize those stadiums. Those are the issues that we need to address going forward. And that is the program of action that binds us together in terms of what we want to achieve when it comes to football. It is quite clear that the mixture of youth and experience for our national team is doing wonders. And it is important that we must invest in development in order to ensure that the mainstream of ensuring that there is talent development on a continuous basis, these particular issues are actually addressed. I have met with SAFA leadership. We are on the brink of signing an agreement with all sport federations in South Africa as transformation agreement. And we have placed before them what are the challenges that they are faced with. And they've gone back and they've made their own assessment. Very soon we'll be signing that agreement before end of the year. So we're not just talking transformation without action. We have undertaken a thorough baseline research on the issues of transformation, but equally develop a clear program of action. If we don't transform, there will be consequences, which is the point that we have all agreed about. If you don't transform, there will be consequences, but if you transform, there will be dividends in relation to the country, but at the same time, to a particular federation that ensures full transformation for sport in South Africa. 20 years of freedom does not mean that we shouldn't talk about this particular transformation. We must continue and embark on transformation scientifically, not just howling and raising issues without a clear mapped out program of action. Today, I'm happy to stand before this AGM and say to you, we've got a vision, we've got a program of action. Our sports plan is adaptable to the objectives of the National Development Plan, Vision 2030. In the next 20 years and 30 years to come, we must talk a different story. In the last AGM, when we met, Mr. President, you committed yourselves, when you were elected, that you are going to focus on developmental work and lifting the developmental side. Today, with all your investment in a very short space of time, supporting the developmental side within SAFA, where are we? Victory and victory everywhere, and everyone is ululating. We know in that way that our future is stable and the foundation is sound. Because the players who are winning for the under 20 and the under 27 and the under 17, that is the future, Bafana Bafana. And I like what Shakes is doing, not picking on people who are tried and tested, but to be able to pick up a player wherever they are, even in Vodacom, to play for the national team. And that is what is important for the national team and its success. And we can only succeed if we work together. And I'm happy to be standing in this podium to say to you and give you a feedback. I've spent much more time with SAFA discussing work than discussing squabbles with President Denny Jordan. And that is healthy for me. You can look at my figure and everything, and you can look at me, and you can look at what it does for SAFA as an organization in terms of its achievement. Fantastic job that you are doing. And I'm not here patronizing, but that is the reality. I've met with leadership of SAFA to discuss key strategic questions that confront us in football. We have done excellent work, and we are continuing to basically work together. So I'm coming to this AGM a happy man. I've got no sleepless nights, and I've got all good dreams for this country and football. Even if we lose now in Congo, don't worry, the minister is happy. Especially when the players did what they did in Cape Town. I said to President Jordan, today, even if they can lose, I'm happy. The fighting spirit is there. The boys are committed. I went to the dressing room and I encouraged them and I spoke to them together with the president. And I was not fooling them. And I also speak to them individually when they go out of stray. I'm the coach there in the bench. I say, my boy, if you regard yourself as the future for this country, look at your footsteps. It is important to guide these youngsters and to affirm them so that they are not big-headed. Some of them have never earned 10,000 from school, high school. First time he gets 10,000, 20,000 from Dr. Ivan Koza, or 15,000. It's a lot of money. You have never worked anywhere. And you start to go astray. Let's not give up on them. We give them guidance, we support them, and I'm happy about what SAFA is doing. Most importantly is the building of academies. And I said to the President, one day when we are no more, we must say that is the academy that was started by SAFA and is still alive and well supported. What happened to the School of Excellence? It's no more. And yet the School of Excellence guided so many athletes and young players, who some of them are competing at a higher level even internationally, like Steven Pinar and so on. So we must invest in that. And I said to the President, let's work together and build these academies. And then about hosting and other things, we can continue to talk about that, but they must first win the Cup of Nations before we can host anything going into the future. But I'm just saying that in jest. And I'm saying to Comrade Tokyo, about the Global Watch. It's a very important initiative, the Global Watch, something that you have started. You've got enough time now. You are no longer a minister. That is very positive for South Africa. We will support this Global Watch that you are going to bring here in South Africa with everybody else, because fighting racism in sport, in particular in football, not only in Europe, everywhere else it is important. Here in South Africa, we are bringing them here to come and learn from us. We don't have racism in football. Not at all. We don't need to eat bananas. We eat on behalf of them in Europe because we see them all the time. African players being tormented and at the same time being insulted by racists across the globe. So let them come here and drink from the fountain of freedom. Which have realized and fought racism and still fighting even today. Let them come and the world come here. We take them to Robben Island and to know that what it means to fight against racism, and that in itself, I think, it will be our contribution as a country to the fight against racism globally. because South Africa is that country that is known for that in the world, for fighting and winning the war against not entirely racism, but realizing freedom and defeating apartheid. The fact that we still have ravages of racism within society does not mean we have arrived. The struggle continues. But it is important in the field of play that a moment like that one must continue to be celebrated. And I'm happy that SAFA associates itself with such initiatives. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. And I can assure you that my door is open. I've had all good memories and good times with the SAFA leadership and continue to engage. And let's take football to another level. Let us continue to work together. There is nothing that is insurmountable that we cannot resolve if we work together. Let us work together and make South Africa a great place to be. And in that, we will be honoring Nelson Mandela and the past generation that have made it happen for South Africa. Now I take this opportunity to call upon the President with honor, respect, and dignity to give to SAFA under 20 110,000 rands to the players. So this is my contribution to say to them, thank you for making us proud and for delivering that victory for South Africa. If you do more, you go to the World Cup, no, it will rise from here. Thank you very much. Thank you. And the second check, President, goes to the under 20, the under 17, 110. Atamela. Thank you. Vice President, to the under 17, 110,000 rand. Thank you very much for the victory. Thank you. They normally say when you go to Mukiti or you go to a feast or you go to an occasion as an African, you don't just go empty-handed, especially when people have done well. Kama khutswani ke bunyane bo ke le tliseditseng bona. Ore le a sebetsa bontate le bo mme re a leboha. Thank you very much. Siyabonga.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, we just want to go back. We want to hand over an award to you. We've listened to what Tokyo Sekwale said. And we have to fix that thing, otherwise he'll have a wrong impression. And we want him to be part of the presentation. So can we call Advocate George Bishop Bezos, Tokyo Sekwale, and Gideon Sam to join us in the presentation. And then also Dr. Ivan Koza to join us. Thank you.
They say, when I was talking about awards, because I expected something, they say in South Africa you get an award when you are either very old or dead. Now we're giving it to a young man. So there's hope, there's hope.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you are. There you go. Hold it, George, with him.
You see, Minister, you are with that team that just gives you silver. Now we give you gold.
Yes,
so
yes.
you're not going to win it.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Okay, Max, I have to. If I didn't make those remarks, you've got nothing.
Well, I need to thank Tokyo Swale for reminding, but from what I'm seeing now, this is not something that was just rehashed now. It has long been planned. It's presented from SAFA to Minister of Sports and Recreation, Fikile Mbalula. So, I just want to say to everybody that I work with a great team of young people. I've got my deputy who's not here, Uamkhart. I don't know, but he was supposed to be here. I've got young people that surround me all the time, but they know that I push very hard in terms of what needs to happen. I want to thank SAFA for recognizing the work that we do in sport. I think to me that is the recognition we do. Not me, but the impact that we make, because anybody can become a minister of sport. So I really want to thank everybody and for their support in the work, and I hope we won't disappoint you. We'll continue to basically walk the talk and ensure that we deliver, especially when we get an award from a person like Advocate George Bezos. And this picture will remain with me forever and ever, that one day, one time I passed here, and I got this from the leadership of SAFA. Thank you very much, Ndiabong.
Thank you very much. We have now dealt with item 1. Item 2, declaration that the Ordinary Congress has been convened and composed in compliance with the statutes. Can the administration just confirm to us that everything is in order in this meeting? CEO?
Good morning, everyone. President, I can report that
can the Vice President just escort the Minister? Thank you very much again, Honorable Minister. Can we...
Good morning, everyone, once again. Thank you. President, I can report that the Congress has been convened and composed in compliance with the statutes of SAFA in the following manner. We sent Circular Number 1, a preliminary notice of the 2014 Ordinary Congress on the 16th of June 2014. We followed that up by Circular Number 2, a reminder of the deadline for the submission of motions for the Annual Congress and other items. It was issued on the 27th of August 2014. We followed that up with Circular Number 3, which is the convocation notice and agenda of the 2014 Annual Congress, and that was issued on the 11th of September 2014. And the AGM, or the Congress electronic pack, was issued to members on the 26th and the 27th of September 2014, all in compliance with the SAFA statutes.
So this meeting is in order. It's so agreed. Agreed. Item 3, consideration and approval of delegates' credentials. Can you take us through the credentials, please?
President and members, the following members are present here today. I shall call, and if
Once the CEO calls the region, the leader of the delegation must just put on record present.
yes, we will ask the leader of the delegation to rise as I call the name of the region or the name of the member, so that everyone can also see you and acknowledge on record. From the Eastern Cape, Safa Alfred Nzo. May you just speak into the mic to say you're present.
Alfredo is present.
Safa Amatola confirm that they are present.
Present. Yes.
Okay. Safa Tratadu.
Present.
Safa Chris Hani.
Present, sir.
Safa Nelson Mandela Bay. I didn't hear that. Safa Nelson Mandela Bay, may you rise.
Present.
Thank you. Safa Oa Tambo. Safa Joe Kabe.
Who are present, sir?
Safa Buffalo City.
Present, sir.
From the Free State, Safa Fezile Dabi.
Present.
Safa Lejuele Putswa.
Present.
I'm not sure whether that was recorded. May you rise and just record your presence, please?
Present.
Thank you. Safa Mangaung.
Present, sir.
Safa Tabamafutsanyane.
Present.
Safa Harib.
Present, sir.
And from the good province of KwaZulu-Natal, Safa Amajuba.
Present.
Safa Itaquini.
Present.
Safa Ilembe. Safa Ilembe.
Present, sir.
Safa Sisonke.
Present, sir.
Safa Ugu.
Present.
Safa Mgungundlovu.
Present.
Safa Mkanyakude.
Present.
Thank you. Safa Umzinyati.
Present.
Safa Utukela.
Present.
Safa Utungulu. Safa Utungulu.
Present.
Thank you. Safa Zululand.
Present.
From the northwest, we have Safa Bojanala.
We are present, sir.
Safa Dr. Ruth Sekhomotse Mompati.
Present, sir.
Safa Naka Modiri Molema.
Present, sir.
Safa Dr. Kenneth Kaunda.
Present, sir.
From the Western Cape, Safa Cape Town.
Present.
Safa Cape Winelands.
Present, sir.
Safa Central Karua.
Present, sir.
Safa Eden.
Present, sir.
Safa Overberg.
Present.
Safa West Coast.
Present.
From Limpopo. For those of us who come from Limpopo, that's how we pronounce it. Safa Capricorn.
Present, sir.
Safa Mopani.
Present, sir.
Safa Vembe.
Present, sir.
Safa Waterberg.
Present, sir.
Safa Skokune.
Present, sir.
From the Northern Cape, Safa Francis Bard.
Present.
Safa John Taula Khaetswe.
Present, sir.
Safa Namakwa.
Present, sir.
Safa Pixley Kaseme.
Present, sir.
Safa Sianda.
Present.
From Mpumalanga, Safa Etlanzeni.
Present, sir.
Safa Hertsibande.
Present, sir.
Safa Nkangala.
Present.
From Gauteng, Safa Kuruleni.
Present, sir.
Safa Johannesburg.
Present.
Safa Chwane.
Present.
Safa West Rand.
Present.
And from the associate members, the South African Industrial Football Association, or Indoor Football Association, sorry, my mistake.
Present.
SAFA Masters and Legends Football Association,
Present.
South African Schools Football Association,
Present. CEO.
South African Police Services Football Association,
Present, sir.
the South African Deaf Football Association, they are present. South African Football Medical Association,
Present, sir.
the Industrial Football Association of South Africa, South African Intellectually Impaired Football Association,
Present, sir.
South African Football Coaches Association,
Present.
and the University Sports South Africa Football.
Present.
And our special member, the National Soccer League. I'm not sure whether that was recorded. May we hear you again? The National Soccer League confirms they don't have a microphone there, so I'll have to put it on record for them. The National Soccer League is present. And from the National Executive Committee, I can report that Dr. Danny Jordan,
Present.
Vice President Ivan Khoza,
Since 8 o'clock this morning.
Present.
Vice President Elvis Shishana,
Present.
Vice President Lucas Nhlapo, the CEO, Mr. Dennis Mumble, present, Mr. Aubrey Bartman,
Present.
Mr. Gerald Don,
Present.
Professor Lasolo Khadina Bakau, Mr. Pubalan Govindasamy,
Present, thank you.
Mr. David Bantu. I'm not sure whether that was recorded.
We welcome you back right here on AM News. We're actually listening to the CEO of SAFA, Mr. Dennis Mumble. They're giving us a consideration and approval of delegation.